if you're comfortable with that.
Good morning, Michiana, and Get Inspired, Michiana. We are here for Life Inspired, and today we have a wonderful guest that we got from Emily Dybel, who works with us in the office. This is Carrie Kokoska. Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for coming, Carrie.
Thanks for having me.
And so just to remind you guys what we do for Life Inspired Stories, this is just how life was going along, and there was some trajectory, ... and then God moment in your life that kind of turned your life towards God, and now you want to walk an inspired life and in life that you're walking with God. And so I have no idea Carrie's story, but she's got a good one that Emily thought we should share. So go ahead and start telling me, what was life like before your dots?
Well, so this morning I asked my kids, what part of our story, do you think is really one that speaks to you about what God has done in our family's life, in our lives, in individuals' lives? And all of them were like, of course, Joshua, Jonah, and Lily, which are our now adopted kids. Wow. And I was like, but there's so many different aspects that we could talk about. And they're like, no, that's the biggest life change for us. And really it started when my husband Scott and I were first married, we wanted to live a life that was set apart and different, and really completely following God. And we went on the mission field for a while, and then God brought us back, much to our kind of disappointment and amazement, and we ended up in the Midwest. And my husband had an engineering desk job. It just was like, what are you doing, God?
This is not what we wanted.
No, it wasn't what we had envisioned being this, standout, God use us kind of a life.
Right.
And so we struggled with that, and we said, you know what, we need to just continue to ask God, what does he want from us? To continue on the mission field, to, start a ministry here, like what? So we, in about 2010, started really asking God to use all of us, our marriage, our home, our kids, our belongings, everything that we had. Like, we just laid it all before him and said, please,
here it is.
Have it, and tell us what you want from us. And we want it to be awesome. Little did we know what he was going to do.
So, you adopt these children. Tell us about that.
So, so one night we just sat down, I think it was in the fall of 2010, and we were talking about our days and our weeks, and both of us just were like, God told us this week that we need to start pursuing adoption. And that was the beginning. We had four biological kids at that point. The youngest was not even a year. He wasn't even a year yet. And adoption has always been on our hearts. But through all of the years, we had been married almost 10 years at that point. We thought surely God would have given us children before then, that he wanted us to adopt. It just never happened. And we're like, why after all this time, are we being asked to do this now? The journey was very long. It was almost 2.5 years later, I think, that we finally went to adopt our first son, Joshua. And he was extremely sick when we got him. We had been told he was missing an ear, but the rest of his development was normal. And that was not the case. It was a very difficult situation for us. Pretty much, he was deaf, so he had no communication. He had been basically tied to his crib for 2 years.
Like physically tied?
Physically tied, yeah. There were still open marks around his arms and his legs.
Wow.
And it wasn't just one. It was like wrapped, down his leg. He could not hardly breathe. It was very traumatic. And we spent the 3 weeks he's from China. We spent 3 weeks in China, just flat out, God, what have you done? Like, I don't know what we're going to do from here. It was extremely traumatic for us. we had, our oldest son was with us, and he was such a blessing to have on the trip because he just loved Joshua unconditionally.
From the beginning.
This child who at 2, he could not hold his body up, he couldn't hold his head up, he couldn't swallow, he couldn't eat. It was just, we didn't know if we didn't know if he was going to make it home. We didn't know if we were going to make it home. We didn't know what we were going to do when we got there.
So how old was your oldest that went?
Oh my goodness. I want to say 8. Yeah, I think he was 8 at that time. So that was a huge, huge hurdle for us spiritually, just being able to trust God. I mean, we had always said, yes, we'll take whoever you give us. It wasn't that we didn't want him. It was we didn't know what to do now that we had him.
Right.
And so, yeah, once, it took several years until we finally got to the point where we were like, okay, you're going to make it. We're going to make it. He is the most phenomenal kid. He is fantastic. It would have been awesome to have him in here because he signs. He is so bright. And he wouldn't be alive today if he hadn't been given to us. So that whole experience kind of it just blew us out of the water. And we were like, you know what? You can do anything. I mean, we never envisioned being able to do anything like that. Even though we might have said we trusted God, we really didn't. And after that, we were like, God, you have us. You just do whatever you want, and we'll just follow no matter what challenges come.
Wow.
And they have come. So we brought Joshua home, and the kids from like 2 months in were like, when are we going to get another brother or sister? And we're like, we aren't nearly ready. They asked us to just get the car seat ready just in case, so that when we were ready, we would, the family would be ready. They were our motivators and pushers. And finally, when the time was right, God gave us another little boy, Jonah, who is 5 now, and he has Down syndrome and some other medical issues that he is also nonverbal. We didn't realize we were getting another kid who couldn't talk. And so he's been a kind of a challenge. But God has just shown me the beauty when he says to have childlike faith. I mean, our kids, they just love these kids more than I could have ever asked for. I mean, they know them, they understand them,
wow.
It's beautiful to watch them. While we were adopting Jonah, we weren't even anticipating adopting again. But as soon as we got on the list, we were going through the process for Jonah. I'm going to try not to cry. We saw a picture of this little girl.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You're just remembering seeing
6.
the picture.
I know. We had already started the process. I mean, like a day in for Jonah, and we were fully committed to adopting him. And once we started working with our agency again, they send out newsletters or whatever, and her picture was in here, and she was 6 at the time, and just gorgeous. She had been abandoned when she was about 6 months old. Mm-hmm. She had cerebral palsy, also nonverbal. We're like, you know what, God, you can do
whatever
this.
you want to do, God.
And he really, he was just like, she's yours. Just, you just do what you need to do. We begged our agency to let us take both of them home, and we couldn't. So we went through the whole process with Jonah, and we had to wait 6 months, and we had to go through the whole process for Lily. And we finally got her on her 9th birthday.
Wow.
And she is like, I cannot even explain to you. She is just vibrant and joyful, and she has made more progress. We have had to give back more equipment because she has outgrown it before we even are able to bring it home, because she is just making that much progress. And she's just smart and funny, and she has just touched us more than we ever expected. And it has been a really long journey.
Absolutely.
It's not even remotely at the end of it. It is just the way God has been refining us, and He's been using our kids. He's been using our biological kids, watching them, how they respond and interact with our adopted kids. And the whole thing is just a reflection of the redemption story that we're living out. And it is not our own strength, and it is not anything that we had the abilities for, but just daily walking with the power of God, because we can't do it otherwise.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Is there anything you would want to tell people that are watching? Because there's people watching. Is there anything you would want to recommend? Maybe somebody thinking of adoption, or?
I think that any way that you can get involved in adoption is amazing. I mean, it is God's heart for those who are without families. It's God's heart for us to be brought into His family. It's at the heart of who God is. I would say, and I normally say this to people who are contemplating whether they should, actually adopt or not. I would not dare to walk this path unless God has called you to do it, because I personally would not want to go through this without knowing that this is what God has asked me to do.
Right.
But there are a number of great agencies out there that are extremely helpful. There are many, many kids within this state and neighboring states, foster care. There's many ways to get involved, and it's a huge, huge need. Sometimes it's overwhelming, and we have a lot of people that say, "Oh, you can't save everybody. You just go about your business." These kids are alive. Every one of them is alive because God has saved them. Not that we have saved them, but God has really saved them and kept them alive so that they could be in our family. And I know that people will be blessed by walking that path.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie.
So, thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. We love to share these stories, so if there's other stories that you want to email us, message us. If you want to talk to Carrie, I bet she'd have coffee with you, so feel free to message us, and we'll hook you up. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great week and a great weekend. Bye-bye.